testified last night. A man who was there is a former Michigan State Senator, Patrick Colbeck. He was down at TCF Center on election night, and he told us about the difficulties he had in trying to do his job as a poll watcher. He's back with us on the other end of our line this morning. Good to have you with us, Pat. How are you?
Great to be with you, Frank.
It's amazing how you can suddenly draw conclusions in headlines if you're a left-wing newspaper these days. Just this stuff's going on every day and nobody ever calls them on it. So I feel like I have to.
Yeah, free press isn't worth the paper that it's printed on. I think we can all realize that this isn't a typical election, Frank. This isn't Republicans versus Democrats. It's not free press versus Detroit News or anything like that. I've been at this at ground zero since the beginning. This is simply the rule of law versus a bunch of thugs pushing intimidation right now. There's a lot of people that have gone out of their way and put their families at risk in the face of these false narratives such as there is no voter fraud, there is no evidence, or Joe Biden's the president-elect. All these false narratives are out there, but everyday Americans are standing up. They stood up in front of the Michigan Senate. They went off and testified. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to some of the testimonies there, but they're heart-wrenching. I was so proud of the people who stood up and gave their testimony. A lot of them at risk to their career, at risk to their family relationships. They're standing up because they know what they are saying is the truth. And finally, they were given an opportunity to share that truth.
Well, and as a matter of fact, you're aware of this, of course. There's the Armistead Project of the Thomas More Society, which has filed another lawsuit about this in the Supreme Court, trying to prevent Secretary of State Benson from certifying the election results. But they've already been certified by our official board, haven't they?
Yep, State Board of Canvassers did, and I think Mayor Giuliani last night laid out how irresponsible that was. And I made the case myself when I testified before the State Board of Canvassers. I was also there at the Wayne County Board of Canvassers. Frank, there is no evidence of any chain of custody around this election. I can go through link after link after link in the chain of custody that has been broached, starting with the top link of the qualified voter file, going to poll books, going to the actual ballots themselves. And my concern, which I was focused on at TCF Center, which was the vote tally itself. And Frank, the stuff that's coming out here, you can't make it up. I mean, they made it up. They made up this election. It's contrived. They did steal this election or try to steal it, but Americans are standing up. How do you get a fractional vote, Frank? I mean, that's what's being reported out of these Dominion voting systems. They're pushing out fractional votes. When's the last time you ever took a fractional vote?
or got credit for 1.5, for that matter.
Right. This is nuts. And they're saying there's no evidence? They're not looking. I tell you, you go to my website, letsfixstuff.org. I've got a listing of all the lawsuits that are pending. Go read Sidney Powell's lawsuit. It's 75 pages of facts. and I've been working with these folks, and I want to make sure all your listeners understand this, Frank. I've been working on this with Bernie Democrats. I've been working on this with registered Democrats. I've been working on it with the independents, libertarians, and Republicans of all stripes. This is not an issue of Republicans versus Democrats. This is an issue of Americans versus those who want to fundamentally transform America. And we're not standing for it. And I'm so proud of the people who stood up at much risk to their personal lives here to stand up and testify to the truth. Literally, Frank, last night, we had to turn away witnesses who were trembling at the prospect of going off and testifying before that Michigan House because they knew the threats that were going to come down. And then we had folks like Kalana Garetti that as soon as she went off and testified, and she gave a brilliant testimony and just took out all the false narratives of the folks who were trying to undermine America. She just took them out one by one. And in response, what happened is that they put her address out on the internet and just started blasting it. She had to get a state police escort to get back home that night.
Wait, what night was this? Was this 2 nights ago?
Night.
This was last night.
This is last night. This is last night coming back from. I called my friends out at the Northfield Township and I asked them at public safety to get public safety involved to protect her. These guys and the other woman who was out there, Jessie, and her husband, Asani. We were praying over them before they went in there because they were so nervous about what would be happening to them and their family for getting up there and testifying to the truth.
Patrick, who's making these threats?
I don't know who's making them. They're all over the internet. These are folks. I can tell you specifically who made them against Monica Palmer, though. We have Abraham Aish, who was a state representative-elect who doxed Monica Palmer's daughter, told everybody where her daughter went to school and how she should be concerned for her. And we also have Ned Stabler at Wayne State University, the vice president there, public university paid for by our dollars, saying the most vile comments. And then you got our own Attorney General, Dana Nessel, threatening me.
What did she? I missed her. Was that in a tweet, or did she do it directly?
Yeah. She decided to go off and tweet because I haven't filed any charges with her because I'm so confident in her ability to go off and get to the bottom of the truth here. She's chastising me, saying, making these charges, Colbeck, is something that is subject to criminal penalty if it's not the truth. And I can tell you it's the truth. I'm signed under affidavit. Others have signed affidavits. That's penalty of perjury if they're wrong.
I really shudder to even think, because I think she's capable of actually trying to bring criminal charges against you, Pat Colbeck, just because you're standing for what you believe is the law and is right, and having clean elections. I can really picture that from this Attorney General.
Well,
Sadly.
This is an Acts Chapter 4 moment. We got people standing up, and the reason they're doing so is because they know the truth, and they will not stop till the truth is getting heard.
Patrick Colbeck, thanks so much for being with us and for standing up for your constitutional rights and your obligations as a citizen, too, to make sure that things go right. We should all learn from you, and I really appreciate you joining us again this morning.
All right, thanks a bunch, Frank.
Take care. Pat Colbeck, the former Michigan State Senator. More to come. We'll get to you.